AMD created a pretty competitive GPU in both the 6800 and the 6800 XT, but with the AIB partner models, then they turn around and have zero stock, and when we actually see the MSRP of these GPUs, it's actually pretty shocking. So let's talk about what's going on here. Hey guys, Tiago here. So let's talk about what is going on with some of this MSRP for the third-party AIB GPUs. For a little bit of history, on November 18th, AMD launched the reference 6800 and the 6800 XT. The 6800 supposed to be around $579, and the 6800 XT supposed to be right about $649. The idea here is that they're going to be competing with the 3080 and also kind of competing with the 3070 until something else comes around. And of course, the 6800 does perform better in general than the 3070, but the MSRP of the reference GPU is around $80 more. So up to that point, price seemed pretty reasonable. People seem to be okay with a $650 6800 XT. I mean, after all, it did beat in some games the RTX 3080, which has an MSRP of $699. Now, the third-party AIB GPUs, for example from PowerColor, Sapphire, Asus, MSI, were also supposed to be released on November 25th, but there certainly was a little bit of an issue because basically nobody got stock at all. Even Micro Center had to put out a statement saying there were going to be absolutely zero stock available. We're not even talking about a limited launch like 2 to 10 cards like the reference GPUs were the week before. The AIB partner cards were absolutely zero. If that wasn't shocking enough, when we actually saw the MSRP price of these GPUs go up on Newegg, I think a lot of people were thrown for a shock. Now, to be fair, even Nvidia with their Founders Edition, let's say the 3080 costs $699. You can certainly expect maybe a third-party GPU, maybe $750 for some of the regular third-party GPUs, maybe something like a PNY Accelerate might be around $750, or maybe one of the more like a Ventus MSI or something like that. Of course, you can also have $800 3080s, but that's going to be a very specialized card, maybe like an EVGA for the 1.3 or an Asus Strix, something that's really decked out with a lot of RGB and a lot of overclocked performance. So having said that, of course, the Nvidia third-party GPUs also are going to be more expensive than the reference GPUs, but it seems like the AMD AIB partners took it a step further. From the $649 6800 XT, we're seeing GPUs MSRP, and these aren't scalper prices or third-party prices. These are original MSRP. We're seeing as high as $899 for some specialty cards like the Asus LC. Of course, that one does come with a little radiator and fan, so we can kind of forgive that one, but a lot of other 6800 XTs are actually in the 800 range, high 700s. The price for these 6800 XTs seem to be very, very high. In fact, there's none to be found anywhere near $650. You would expect a third-party GPU that doesn't have anything too special should maybe be at most $50 more, maybe $75 more than the reference model, but these are coming in at a tremendous markup. And when you couple that with having absolutely zero stock, we have to ask the question, what exactly is going on here? Why is the reference model price so different from all of these third-party GPUs? It doesn't seem like the normal percentage or markup that even the Nvidia third-party GPUs have. It definitely seems to be a little bit more aggressive in terms of the pricing. Now, of course, I'm sure all of these partners saw that availability is very, very low, and I'm sure they're still going to sell pretty much all of them that they put even at these outrageous prices, because after all, people can't find stock at all, and I'm sure people have even gone out and paid more than they should for the Nvidia and even the reference GPUs from AMD. So that could certainly be playing a factor here. They're trying to raise the price limit a little bit more just because the demand is so high. That could certainly be a business decision on their end, and we know that historically these third-party partners really don't have that much of a profit margin with these third-party GPUs. They have to put on the cooler and do everything else with them, so of course that could be an issue as well. Maybe they're just coming in a little bit more expensive from AMD to these third-party partners. The end result for the consumer they're getting very, very expensive GPUs, and not only that, much more expensive GPUs than we were really expecting here. I mean, most people thought $649, 6800 XT, that's really the number that's ingrained in people's minds. That's what they've been seeing with all these reviews, all of these launches, and of course, everybody knows the third-party GPUs will be more expensive, but when we saw these prices, especially the ones over $800, definitely seems very, very excessive, and that's before we even get to the 6800, and that's when it really gets much worse. Even at the MSRP of $579 versus $649 between the 68 and the 6800 XT, the 6800 was never a good value proposition. It just performs a lot worse than the 6800 XT for that small price difference. It's basically an entire tier lower of GPU. So when the 6800 AIB third-party models, AIB models start showing up for like high 600s and even $700 range, that just really throws a wrench into the entire equation. That GPU just is not worth that price, and that's getting very close to the price and MSRP of a 3080. If you look online or even go to a local store or micro center, there definitely has been a lot more stock of these RTX 3000 series GPUs. For example, the MSI Ventus has been coming up a lot, and even something like that, even if it's like an MSI Ventus 3080, the 6800 is getting a little bit too close in terms of price to that GPU, and the 3080 is on an entirely different level than the 6800. Of course, the 6800 XT will be competitive in certain games, but in general, the RTX 3080 will absolutely demolish the 6800 pretty much across the board. Now, the 3070 MSRP of $499, and we have been consistently seeing them for well under $600, unless it's a very special model like a 4013 or an Asus Strix or something like that. But in general, they seem to fall between $499 to like $560. That seems like a very fair range for what is, as of now, the entry-level GPU for the RTX 3000 series. So when we see the AMD 6800 for almost $700, that really throws everything off. I mean, that's the price of an RTX 3080, and will they sell at $700? Definitely not in the normal market, but now since there's such scarcity, there's a good chance all of these are going to sell out anyway, and these manufacturers are going to see that demand, and we're just going to see higher prices continue to go up. Even a lot of recent reviewers on YouTube that got these AIB models, they flat out didn't mention the price at all because they didn't know the price. Most of these manufacturers did not even want to mention the price of these GPUs to them. If you guys watch Hardware Unboxed, and at the end of that video, he says how frustrated and mad that he is at the entire situation, especially after the prices were revealed. They're just way too high, especially for the 6800, but then the 6800 XT starts to get up there close to what even the 6900 XT is supposed to be. So then we have to ask, when that GPU comes out, is it really going to be $999? Well, judging from what we've seen so far, we can expect those AIB GPUs to be considerably more expensive, maybe $1,200, $1,300, who knows? And that way, it's getting a lot closer to the price of the 3090, and then it doesn't seem like as good of a deal when there's a very small price gap. So let's talk about stock and availability and if these prices make sense with AMD versus Nvidia. Now, even though AMD had absolutely zero stock of these AIB partner models, the initial reference GPU launch was extremely low, probably less GPUs than even the RTX 3080, at least from what we saw at like local micro center stores and judging from the people that got them. So having said that, stock and availability certainly seem to be more on Nvidia's side just because their GPUs came out before and they've been restocking the stores. For example, like today on Black Friday, a lot of the micro center stores had a lot more 3080s and 3090s in stock. And even during the AMD Zen 3 launch, when I went in to get one of the CPUs, I saw that they had 3080s and 3090s in stock. I've gotten emails from EVGA, with their auto notify system. So I've been able to get GPUs from EVGA. So definitely the RTX 3000 series definitely are available more and more, and I think that's probably good news because not only are the AMD GPUs pretty much nowhere to be found yet, even if you find these AIB models at the prices that they really are not worth it against the RTX 3080. I think for most people, the RTX 3070 and 3080 are just going to be the much better GPU, and it looks like also the much better value. So if you could find the AMD reference GPUs for their MSRP, then yeah, a 6800 XT presents a compelling case against the 3080, but it's still going to be lacking in some very key areas. First, if you want to do any type of ray tracing in your games, basically the AMD GPUs just are not going to be up to the the task anywhere near where the Nvidia GPUs are. Case in point, Cyberpunk 2077, one of the most highly anticipated games in the last several years, is pretty much exclusively, for now, only going to work on Nvidia GPUs if you want to do ray tracing at the highest graphics. Now, ray tracing is not going to even be supported on AMD GPUs, and considering how much of a graphics eye candy that Cyberpunk 20, it looks like the Nvidia GPUs such as the 3070 and 3080, basically where you're going to get the best performance out of these type of games. Alright guys, let me know what you think about these higher AIB prices. Leave a comment below, remember to subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next video.